Rawr!
When did we all get this dumb?
Almost only counts in horseshoes, hand grenades, and nuclear warfare. I don't see any bodies, so it doesn't count.
I'm angry about time.
I'm the chef. I want to hear one thing. Yes, chef.
Come on, man. Use your brain.
The Why I'm Angry podcast starts now.
All right, it's the Why I'm Angry podcast here. This is the chef. I got Lady D waiting on in the wings here. But just before we get to that, we are in the Freestyle Man Cave studio. And we just want to remind you guys, we recorded this week a new podcast with Moggs, getting his reaction to all of the election stuff. We haven't talked to him about, man, it's been about 6 months or so. And so we got all of his reaction, all of that, and I'm going to give you just a quick snippet of what we talked about right now.
That only an elite group have the wisdom and the knowledge to determine and design what our country is to become. And because they have the wisdom and the knowledge, that gives them the rights to create and exercise a top-down approach where people, the government is allowed to make any decision they want to as long as they think it's in their best interest. And I think the other is the bottom-up, approach where people.
All right, there's Moggs. He's talking about the two different parties, and he really gives us a good kind of test on how to look at voting. And he gives you about 4 different questions that he asks himself, and that will all be on the podcast. But that is going to be part of our premium podcasting. So if you subscribe, get on Spreaker. We'll have the link here below in just a few minutes. And while we're getting that set up, if you want to get on there, and it's $2 a month, you'll get premium podcasts. You'll get some of our older podcasts. We're going to start to archive some of our older podcasts, and so you'll have the access to all of the podcasts, and that'll give you all of the information that we've given out over the last 4.5 years, and it'll be a great resource for you. Give you some entertainment value also, and you know how we do it. And so, also, easy, cheap way to support us: follow, like, and share. Get on there, follow, like, and share. Give us a review if you listen to us on the podcast, and if you love us, give us a 5-star review. If you absolutely hate us, don't hate us without going away with something. Give us a 1-star review. We're good with that. We take the lumps. And if you want to be part of the podcast, get your questions to whyimangrypodcast@gmail.com, or send us articles that you want us to go over. Subject matters. We're kind of open to everything, and being able to talk about that. And we want to get you the information that you want to hear about. So get that, and help us out any way that you can. All right, let's move over to checking out some of the headlines here. Oh, right, there it is. I was kind of looking quickly through the headlines, and the one that got me was the jobs data revision. So the U.S. government decided to reduce the estimated number of annual jobs number added by 800,000 yesterday. So they overestimated 800,000 jobs. and no one's getting fired for I mean, this is like a million jobs basically that they overestimated. And so it's still preliminary, suggests that about 2.1 million jobs were added from April to March. This isn't even like right now jobs. This is like jobs 6 months ago or 4 or 5 months ago that they messed up the numbers on. So previously they had 2.9 million jobs reported, and I mean, I don't know. Maybe they puffed up the number for a reason. Maybe there's an election. Maybe they're pushing some numbers, but maybe this is part of election fraud that we don't get to prosecute, or that they tell us is fake news. This is just a conspiracy theory, right? Just a conspiracy theory. I'm gonna wait for Lady D for this one. Chick-fil-A is starting their own media station, so we're gonna talk about that soon. Al Attles died. He's the Basketball Hall of Fame, one of the first black coaches in the NBA. He died at 87, and they're calling the death of Richard Simmons an accident. So it's an accidental death due to complications from recent falls and heart disease. So instead of giving him saying he died of natural causes, I don't know why they would say, "Oh, it's an accident," and make it more suspect. I don't know whether that's so that they can do an investigation or not. But I mean, there's been rumors that he's been kidnapped and basically held up in his house for the last, I think, 10 years, and that basically nobody's seen him for years. He hasn't gone public or anything like that, and they've said either he's dead or they're whoever's taking care of him is keeping him hostage. So U2 announced that they're doing a U2 concert. It's the first band that is going to use that Big Sky high resolution camera in the Sphere in Las Vegas. Basically, this is a high resolution film from their residency at the Sphere, and so it's supposed to be in 5D. It's gonna shoot spit at you from the lead singer and all. But going through the rest of it, Brazil begins construction on Latin America's first maximum security biolab, so that we can have more epidemics, pandemics coming out of a warmer climate. But it's supposed to study the world's most dangerous pathogens native to the region. It's the rainforest, so that's everything. That's the worst of the worst things. So if the next pandemic comes from Brazil, you know why. Oh, this is the one I wanted to talk about, at least personally. Ford Motor Company cancels their 3-row electric SUV. They expect to record roughly $1.9 billion in related expenses. They also delayed their version of the best-selling F-150, the electric version of that. Why is that? Well, because they're not ready. No company is ready to go 100% electric. And Ford has decided that this year's model of everything is going to be electric. They're not going, the Mustang is going to be electric. And it looks like a hatchback. It basically looks like my Ford Focus. on electric. So there, I mean, this wasn't, this wasn't a, we got the greatest products. Let's, this is better than gas. This is we're trying to get out of gas and all of that. Let's make electric vehicles. Whether that's the solution to it or not, that is going to be the solution that we've decided to go with. And it's the first time we've made a major switch from something without already having a good version of that thing or a better version. When we went from walking to horse, we had already gotten on a horse and we had made a horse viable. When we went from horse and carriages to the trains, we had a good version of the train that wasn't going to blow up and kill everyone. Now there were issues. I mean, there were prototypes, but we didn't abandon the horse before that. And here we're abandoning gas cars that are not killing people for electric, and we don't know what all it is. And we've already had issues with, the electrical systems in those cars. You can't cut certain areas, or you'll electrocute the person cutting. You'll electrocute the person in the car. Because you've got so much voltage from the battery to run these engines that are basically a hopped up version of what you have in like a remote control car. And although, the technology is great, and honestly, if you want to put an electric car against a gas car, the electric car is going to destroy the gas car in speed. If you wanted to race them, in just a straight on drag strip, the electric car is going to kill him. Unless the electric car can't get off the block because it's just spinning its tires, because there's no gear system. And they've geared some of these electric cars, but they don't have to gear these cars to gear up to the speed. It's got the speed instantly. It's got all the torque instantly. It's got all of the, and so, it is a good concept. There is some good to it. But in a country that is 3,000 miles across, and you can only get 300 to 400 miles on a battery that charges for 8 to 10 hours, to get a full charge, it doesn't make a ton of sense. If we were in London, where the whole country is the size of the state of Georgia, which is like 5, 6, 7 hours across, probably from top to bottom, and maybe 5-ish hours across from east to west. And I know personally because I have actually driven it, and maybe a lot of you have, but then maybe that makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense as your primary car, it could make sense as your secondary car, but you still have to have a car. As Americans, we'll drive 4, 5, 6 hours, 12 hours, 20 hours for vacation. What are you going to do now? Like if your main car's, this F-150, this electric F-150, I'm sure that electric F-150 is not going 400 miles on a charge. For two, where are you even putting the battery in an F-150? Because they're putting the batteries in the back of these cars so that they have, all that space. But, where are we putting the battery in these cars? So in these trucks, I mean, I'm sure they've got it figured out. I'm sure that's not why they're delaying things, but it's just it's just been a whole system of cart before the horse. Let's let's roll this out before we're ready to roll it out, before it's better than anything else. I'm sure there's batteries, there's technology out there that will get better. And honestly, if you were buying these cars as your secondary car, it might be a good thing. It might, but know that you're not saving the planet. Like the amount of stuff it takes to get those batteries made, the amount of electricity it takes to charge the batteries and stuff, and where's that electricity coming from? Coming from coal plants. That's where we get our electricity in the U.S. That's where they get their electricity in the U.K. That's where they get their electricity in China. Now they've built some more nuclear plants, but they should probably ask Japan about that, because Japan's had fun with that. So, but it's just we pushed an agenda, and the agenda isn't to help the planet. The agenda is to control us, and that's not. Oh man, a conspiracy theory. That is what it is. So, Lady D, you ready to get in here and talk this out? All right. So, without further ado, Lady D, how you doing?
Hey, listeners. I'm good. How are you, Chef?
So I did want to talk about. I don't know if you heard while you were sitting there in the green room. Chick-fil-A is getting ready to create their own streaming platform.
Like a TikTok, like a Facebook,
Yeah,
like a
I mean,
Netflix.
kind of. I think it's more like Netflix.
Okay, so they're gonna show like Christian movies, like the it's the Up channel that shows the
Yeah,
Christian
the Up
movies.
channel. There's a bunch of them that have like Christian broadcast, kind of Christian
Yeah,
programming, I guess. Now
yeah.
they have stopped short of saying it's Christian programming. They said that they've contacted the company behind NBC's The Wall and the Oscar-winning The Spotlight. So they're going to go for some game shows to begin with. They have an estimated budget of $400K per half hour for those shows. So there's at least some kind of prize coming out of that show, I'm sure. And they're looking to develop some script and animated projects eventually. And yeah, they basically said it's going to be family friendly. Yeah.
So they're gonna show like I don't know Seventh Heaven and
I mean,
what's the
they might.
movie? I can only
So
imagine.
so far, it looks like they're going to create their own projects. They're not. It doesn't say that they're going to buy other streaming. I would think they would have to. I mean,
Yeah, to keep
you
people
can't
interested.
just you can't just keep but yeah, they've got 10 episodes ordered of a game show, and then yeah, emphasis on reality television. I mean, I'm sure there will be like a show called The Sandwich, and
The
this be a
fry.
reality. Yeah, to be a reality show based on Chick-fil-A inventing the chicken sandwich and
Hmm.
all that. But so yeah,
That's interesting and also exciting for them. Um, I'm curious to know what made them want to venture off into TV media.
yeah. I wondered also because there are already 3,000 restaurants in the U.S.
Didn't know it was
They
that
re,
many.
they They they're one of the craziest. I mean, I don't know over the last couple years, but I know before this, when I was in the industry, they were the anomaly. They grew 15% every year, no matter what. It didn't matter what economy that was going on. They opened 15% more stores and grew at 15% or more in sales every year.
Hmm.
And McDonald's doesn't do that.
Mm-hmm. Which
So
I thought, is it as many Chick-fil-A's as it is McDonald's, or still more McDonald's
no,
in the world
McDonald's
than
still has
Chick-fil-A's?
more stores,
Okay.
U.S. wide and worldwide. So, but when it come down to it, as the chicken restaurant though, they have the market share on chicken. They're the
That's
biggest chicken
interesting because
restaurant.
we were talking about Chick-fil-A. Ironically, I had Chick-fil-A earlier for lunch. It was a great salad.
They do not sponsor us, but if they wanted to, they could definitely
Please
do
sponsor
that
us,
in
Chick-fil-A.
just chicken nuggets and whatever Lady D likes. So,
Preferably, I love the spicy Southwest salad, but I like the grilled filet, not the spicy one, because I don't do spice.
okay.
But um, we were talking about them earlier because we were talking about how they changed their chicken, and people were saying that they noticed a change in it. I couldn't tell the difference, but I do find it interesting that they want to go and venture off into TV and media. Um, but okay,
I mean, it's
I guess
they recorded over $21 billion in revenue last year.
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a ton of money. Like, if you're already making
Yeah.
15%, like that, so if they make 15% more, they should make somewhere around 23 to 24 billion dollars next year or after this year. So I mean, it's just,
With all that money, what do you do?
and I guess you start a streaming platform,
Well,
and so that you
more
don't
power to
upset
them.
people, you call it family friendly instead of
Like ABC, the ABC Family. Do they still have that show on cable?
that.
Where they
Yeah,
used to
no,
show
I
like
don't think
the
they have ABC Family anymore.
um
Because they used to have
they
that.
used to be
They used to have that whole channel.
yeah.
Like ABC used to have the ABC Family Channel or ABC, yeah, Family
Yeah.
Channel. But I don't think it's there anymore. ABC
They
didn't
used to
care
play
about your
all
family.
the they used to do like 25 days to Christmas or something like that.
Yeah,
Every month
yeah.
it was something.
I
You
think
could always catch a good family friendly a movie at nighttime.
yeah. Now that's on Hallmark now.
Oh,
25 Days to
well,
Christmas, and then the American
Hallmark
Family
ain't nothing but
Channel.
a step up from Lifetime.
Yeah, maybe sometimes.
Have you
So
seen some of those Lifetime movies?
I have.
It's
Remember
like, where did y'all hire these actors
we
at?
told you about that John Benet Ramsey one where they like carried John Benet Ramsey out and she's like stiff as a board as they're carrying her out. She's a doll.
They
Oh
got to do
yeah,
better.
yeah.
I'm about to
I
do
don't
that.
know. I guess
ABC
they don't
Family. They used to
because
be
I
my
mean
station.
Lifetime pretty much makes. But so
ABC Family turned into Freeform.
okay,
Yeah,
there you go.
there it is. Okay.
But I didn't think Freeform was like a family, like overly family friendly.
It apparently, according to Wikipedia, because we trust Wikipedia, they're a trusted source. They never lie.
That is definitely a source.
Everything is certified. It said that Disney ABC Television Group announced that ABC Family would be rebranded as Freeform. Okay, that was back in
Okay,
October of 2015.
so it's been a while.
Makes sense though. Yep. Yep.
So, so let's get your reaction to the elections a little bit, and then we'll go into this article that I think is going to last us quite a bit of time. But so we haven't really talked to you. We talked. Did we get you? Did you talk about the debate?
I did not
Did
watch. No.
did you see? Did you? So we talked about the debate here pretty heavily. We've talked about it a few times. We even talked about it with Moggs to this week.
Mhm.
And we talked about how surprised everybody was about Biden being so like far gone. I guess I'm just gonna say, like it looked
People
like
were
he had.
surprised.
Yeah, it seemed like people were
Okay.
surprised.
Mhm.
And so we talked about how, it's really just been a setup this whole time. That if you look at it, we can pile on Biden all we want, and then 3 months before the election, we're gonna kick him out, and we're gonna put in somebody else who only then has 3 months to get vetted. So,
Mhm.
because that's what they're supposed to do, the media, even though they're not really going to vet her, that they're supposed to go through and vet whoever is running for office. It's just nowadays is only they're only vetting the Republican nomination and not vetting the people who aren't the Democratic side. It doesn't seem like
Mhm.
because honestly, like the I can't even think of his name, but there was a Republican candidate like 15 years ago that went while he was speaking, and in a speech for I think it was the Republican National Convention, and he didn't get any more votes. Like it had to have been before the convention, but
Mhm.
and so and then we got Kamala who can't control her laughter and just cackles at everything, and somehow she's like leading in the polls now.
Okay.
So let's get your reaction. You haven't
So
you had
go ahead.
go ahead. I was gonna say you haven't really been you like you're buying a house, which we should talk about how awesomely fun it is to
Mhm.
try to buy a house these days, and how many
Mhm.
offers, how many houses you had to
Mhm.
look at, how quickly houses move and groove
Right.
in this economy, and how much you can afford
Right.
in this economy. But you're buying a house, so you've been that's kind of why you've been in and out of the podcast a little more often is that you've got a lot going on. And so I
Right.
know you're not following the election a ton, but just where are your thoughts right now about the election?
So I'm gonna take it all the way back a little bit because before I got into home buying phase, I'm gonna take it back to where the announcement was made that he was no longer going to be running for president and that she was going to step in. Okay, that's where I'm starting from because that's the last most to recent thing that I recall.
Right.
Um, I would simply say, and I've said this before, I think this was a setup. I think that when JoJo was doing his campaign 4 years ago, he sat back and had a meeting with some people and said, all we got to do is get you reelected, let her be your VP, and then you do your term, and then she'll step in and be president. That's my personal opinion. I believe that somewhere a conversation was had in a room, in a room full of people that were who either worked for him or they could see something that we couldn't see at the time. Because I do believe that his age has certainly played a major impact in regards to him operating just as the president on a day-to-day basis, right?
Right.
So, in the regards to fast forward a little bit to when they did the debate, I didn't watch none of the debate. I heard some of the sound clips, and I saw some of like the things people were making jokes about and fun of. I think one of the things, I don't remember if it was JoJo, if it was Donnie, who had said something about black people jobs or something like that. I just vaguely remember seeing something like that. Keep in mind, I don't really follow too much about the presidential election until it really comes time, maybe to like the day before for me to go vote. That's when I actually do my research, and I do that on purpose. Anyway, with that being said, I know that this past week they did, or they're doing, or currently doing the DNC, the Democratic National Convention, or whatever. I will tell you, I'm ignorant to the fact of what exactly has been going on and what the main key topics that everybody wants. But from my understanding, it ain't really much change. It's been the same thing since the beginning, since our parents were kids, which is we want to find a way to put more money in our pockets. We don't want to spend more money out. We want better health care. We want the government to help us out. Just the same, we want to be able to afford living. We want to be able to go to the grocery store and not spend $20. Not spend $200. Only feel like we only got $20 worth of groceries. Same stuff that you deal with any other every 4 years. Nothing has changed. We want, better policing. We want more money for our streets and our roads. The same stuff, right? However, I will say this. I am not ignorant to the fact of this. I believe that JoJo thought that if he got Kamala, then that would be an easy way for her to get the black vote. However, I do know that there are a lot of people who are not in support of Kamala who identify as African American or the black vote. So I don't know. But
Well,
I do believe that this was a setup for sure.
definitely.
And then even when I think about the path she elected, what's the man's name that's supposed to be her VP, her running mate?
Tim Wall.
Tim Wall. Okay, I don't know nothing about no Tim Wall. Like I say, y'all can scold me for being ignorant. Teach me. I don't know nothing about him or what state he comes out of. Like I said, I normally don't do my research about who I'm going to vote for a candidate, and literally until the night before it's time for me to go and vote. Now, what I have been hearing is about Project 25, which I guess is the plan that Donnie is trying to implement over if he gets reelected for another term. I have not necessarily read up on that, but I know a lot of people have been saying y'all need to go read up on this because this is what he's trying to go do. I stand in the middle. I don't know who I'm going to vote for. Honestly, right now, just being an American citizen, I don't know if I'm Democratic, Republican, liberal. I'm for God. This is what I am. However, at the end of the day, I am going to do my due diligence and I am going to go vote. I just don't know. I don't know what side I stand on because it's based upon whatever my needs are when it comes to be November. So I don't know. That's my reaction.
Sounds good. I mean, it sounds like you're just trying to figure it out yourself. I mean, at this point.
Yeah.
So.
I don't believe for 1 second. Now it is politics, so it is going to be some type of dramatics behind it because that's just what it is, right? I do believe that every day and every week. I don't know if nobody else has noticed this, but we've been getting them spam calls like never before again lately. Okay, so whoever's behind that, hear me out. Please stop calling.
Yeah, I got the text the other day about the poll they wanted us to all be part of.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so
I got a text like
I
that
did that
too.
on the podcast last week. So
Yeah. So it's like y'all pipe down like with the spam calls and the spam texts and the emails and the all the whatever it is y'all do when it's election year. Like don't nobody really care about all that stuff. Just stop calling us. We'll vote when it's time to go vote and we'll know who to vote for. But I do believe in all actuality that it is time for JoJo to clock out. He need to be in somebody's retirement home, and I mean that respectfully, no disrespect whatsoever. Because at the
right,
end of the day, the man can't even sometimes even form full sentences, and we've seen that before numerous of times. And they showed him he was at somebody. I think he was at somebody's funeral speaking, like maybe a couple months ago, and he said something about the reason why he picked President Trump or something like that. He's had a basically a slip up, and he went to say Kamala or I don't know how to say the name. We're gonna call her what's her
Kamala.
name? Kamala. Is that Kamala?
Yeah,
Yeah. He meant to say Kamala, and I'm just like, sir, you don't even know who your VP is. Like, were you even there
right.
present? Like, were you the person that made the phone call and said I want you to be my VP, or what was it AI?
Telling you, it is not him at all. It is not Kamala or Kamala or whatever you want to. It is not. None of those people are in charge.
Yeah, I think the last thing that we talked about was when Donnie got shot, and
Yeah.
he still
Okay.
walking around with that bandage on his ear, his accessory.
No, I don't think so. But
Okay,
um,
all right.
no, he's not. But I just to me, it feels very very self-serving. Like right
Mhm.
now, she isn't black. She's not Indian. She's just a multiracial person, which is
Mhm.
fine, which is 100% great. But she definitely is going to use either side, whichever side that she can
Mhm.
get the most votes for. She's definitely going to try to use that. And I
I
mean,
agree.
and she's tried, but um, yeah, I was just looking over. Today is the last day of the DNC. Um, but Monday was for the people. Tuesday was a bold vision for America's future. Wednesday was a fight for our freedoms, and Thursday was for our future. So I did quickly, and I'll probably do a little more about it. But you talked about the Project 2025, and just
Mhm.
looking on the front page, the pillars that they put together to basically the challenges to put America back on track.
Mhm.
Their first basic pillars are to secure the border,
Mhm.
de-weaponize the federal government by increasing the accountability and oversight on the FBI and DOJ. So maybe the IRS won't come after anyone that's a conservative. Unleash the American energy production. Cut growth of government spending to reduce inflation. Make the federal bureaucrats more accountable for democratically elected presidents and Congress. Improve education by moving control and funding of education from DC bureaucrats directly to parents and states and local governments, and ban biological males from competing in women's sports.
Oh
So there's
boy.
more to it, and we'll get to the more, but that's the basic. At least that's the window dressing of it. And we'll dive deeper to make sure that that we're pushing the truth, the facts. We're not here to like
Yeah,
we
of
we,
course,
we want to
no.
get we want to get the real facts to it. Because I
Yeah,
have been hearing about it, and but from everything I've heard, there isn't anything in there that you wouldn't actually want. That if you were being honest with yourself, securing the borders so that we can at least control who comes in, so that we're not bringing in ISIS, we're not bringing in
yeah.
terrorists and things like that. I don't honestly,
And I don't disagree with that either. Because I want to
and
live in a safe country.
Right, exactly. And honestly, if we bring, we used to be a country of, if you had something to give, then come on in. But if you're just going to be lazy and sit on welfare, then don't come. And I honestly don't care as much about, if you're just going to come in and be lazy or whatever. I don't just let's weed out. Let's try to at least weed out the criminal factor of it. And you can't. It's kind of like legislation. I saw a thing on Congress was trying to legislate crime. You can't legislate crime. You already made crime illegal, which is the legislation for crime.
Hmm.
So now it's time for the executive party, the police, to go do their job, and the judges to do their job. And you're seeing the breakdown in the executive party and the judges who are letting people who are letting drug offenders go free, letting violent criminals out of jail early because of overpopulation, and because this guy was you know just indicted and just sentenced, so he's got to be in here. This guy's been here for 8 years. He's got to be reformed by now, because we know that jails are the best reformers of people.
Watch yourself now.
No, jails don't reform people. They don't help people in any way, shape, or form. They're a punishment. We have
As they
programs.
should be.
Yeah, and they should be. But that doesn't help the person become a better person. We have programs in jails. We have programs when they get out. But that person has to want to be, somebody different. And you can't
Right.
just say, you can't just like, okay, well, these lightly violent or not so violent criminals, we're going to let them out earlier, let them out on the streets, and they don't have to fulfill their whole debt to society. And then we go so light on our criminals that then the criminals are like, oh yeah, I could do a year. I could take a vacation for a year or two. They're going to give me 3 meals a day, and I can still have a cell phone. I can still talk to my family, whatever.
Not like I said with cell phone.
I mean, you can't, I mean, now, most of the time cell phones are illegal, but at the same time, you can't tell me that if it didn't, they're weighing the pros and cons, and the pros are better than the cons of doing the crime. So
I agree.
So
Have you seen about the migrants in Chicago? I
I
know that was also another big topic about how there's been, I think they said about 46,000 migrants since 2012 that have come to Chicago. Yeah, 46,787 people.
it's a sanctuary city.
Um, huh?
I said it's a sanctuary city. They're not going to send them back. Why wouldn't they go there?
Yeah, and I guess the problem is that the government is supplying them with funds and a check and health care.
Yep.
And most of these people, of course, are homeless, so why not,
It's
right?
not homeless anymore. It's free camping.
Okay, fair enough. Um, and
Homeless is a derogatory term.
oh, is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, they are without a shelter.
Because we're keying in on what they don't have. So they're just free camping. They're
Is
all
this
who
like some
wander
type
are
of
not
gentle
lost.
parenting ordeal or something? We do like
This is who's in office
I'm sorry,
nowadays.
it's always been homeless.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not laughing at that. I'm just saying that's the term that
I
it's
mean, it's
always
not.
been.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's like saying you're black is a derogatory term. No, I'm saying the facts. She's a
I'm
black
black.
woman, and
Yeah.
we're not that it's bad or anything. It's just that that's the facts of the matter. But we
When
don't
did this
care
world
about
become so sensitive?
facts as a society anymore. Now we want to cry about it because we didn't talk about her in a positive way. I didn't say she whatever. She's an amazing black woman or something like that. So now you feel better about yourself as yeah.
Okay. Well,
We
you
gotta
know me,
call
I'm extra, so I do have to have an
we
extra adjective.
we get all up in our feelings about it now, and
Okay, well, the homeless.
the
Okay, because
homeless.
that's what everybody in the articles are referring to them as.
Okay. It's not San
They are saying
Francisco.
like they are saying the migrants are coming and that they
And they're building them hotels. They're literally building hotels to put these people in.
do you think that it has something to do with them possibly being some way in shape or form in connection to the election
Well, yeah, they're gonna
that they're
vote.
coming?
Yeah, they're gonna
Yeah.
get a vote for sure.
Okay. I
I'd
didn't
say
want to put that conspiracy out there, but
no, that's not
it's
even a conspiracy.
okay.
I mean that is why some states don't have voter ID to vote,
Yeah.
because then they just let them vote, and then they realize, and then they say, "Oh,
Um.
there's too many people who voted that maybe weren't allowed to vote for us to sort through it." So they just put all the votes in. Who
And
let you
then
in
we're
this
gonna have another
country? Biden. Biden let me in the country, so I'm going to vote for Biden.
but Biden not on a ticket. So do you vote for his
We
next
both
best
vote for
thing?
Harris because Biden and Harris let me in this country. So Harris, I'm going to vote for her. The big red-haired man is angry at us. He said he'll deport us, not voting for him.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's what we're playing with. Anybody that's here realizes the difference in this 4 years and the 4 years before that.
Okay, so
Luckily,
I got go
I bought
ahead.
a house in the 4 years before that, when my house value was half of
Mm-hmm.
what the value of my house is now. My house is
Mm-hmm.
almost worth double. And
Mm-hmm.
the reason that is because the dollar is almost worth half of what it was 4 years ago. It's not because my house is so much nicer. In fact, my house has a bunch of algae on the front of it, and I need to hit it with a pressure washer. But my house is still worth almost double.
Should have got brick.
I can hit it with a pressure
Uh-huh.
washer and knock it off. I don't have to you still can get algae on
But
your house.
I'm just curious, and this is me not necessarily being knowing, so I'm ignorant.
Yeah.
How hard is it to cross the border to come to the United States illegally?
Depends. Partially, it depends on where you're crossing the border,
Okay.
because honestly, it's almost just as easy to cross the border in Canada as it is in some spots in Mexico. In some spots in Mexico, as long as you can get out there, I mean, there's vast spots in New Mexico and Arizona that, because it's desert, you just walk across the border. Now you have to get
Okay.
there, so you have to have a car or whatever to get out to the border. But that's what these coyotes are doing, is they're just driving you out to the middle of the desert, and either they're dropping you off or they're driving you across the border and dropping you in a city somewhere.
Okay. I didn't know if it was like, you how you walk over the threshold at the door at the grocery store. Like,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
the door just
that's
open.
that's
Or
what
if you gotta
that's how America wants you to be. They want you to come in on a major road, on a main road, and you go through and you get your passport checked like you do at, like we as Americans when we travel do anywhere else we go.
right.
And that's how it should be. But you know, you got to swim the Rio Grande, or you got, that kind of thing.
Right.
So we don't have, that was what Trump was trying to do, is build thousands of miles of border walls, so that at least not so that we could keep people out, but so that we could funnel people to the actual doors and let people in on our terms. It's our
So
country.
did he not build the wall completely? Because how are
No,
people still getting in?
no, we didn't get the wall. Like, in 4 years, I mean, you can barely build a warehouse. You can't build, you know, you can't build a 1,000-mile wall. We're not building the Great Wall of China in 4 years. Because I mean, that's what, like, I didn't put it in perspective that the Great Wall of China is like 19,000 miles. And this one guy
Mm-hmm.
just like plowed through like a section of the Great Wall of China because he didn't want to drive around. And he didn't want to drive around because it was 5,000 miles to drive around his section. So I mean, I kind of understand that, but yeah, they started building, but then when President Biden got in, they stopped the building of the wall because obviously we need 20,000 more votes a day per 1,000 days. That's 2-3 million votes. So he needs that 2-3 million more votes. But in all honesty, also, anything that President Trump was, the Democrats want to be the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's detrimental to our country. And people are applauding and cheering that. Because we're the opposite. For the sake of being opposite, because we're upset with he tweets out mean things. He tweets out the truth. And it hurts our feelings. And his comments about black jobs, although it is it is kind of like laser focused on, he says, black people, they should want him to be in office because jobs are better for them, because these people that are coming in, migrant workers, are taking their jobs. He's saying that these migrant workers are taking everyone's jobs, but because he's talking to the black vote and the Latino vote, he's saying these people are taking your jobs. They're taking everybody's jobs. You know why why we can't get the entry level jobs? Why kids don't start entry level jobs anymore? For one, they're not getting taught work ethic. But
Mm-hmm.
for two, migrant workers are coming in and they're not getting checked. And they're working some of these entry level jobs for less money because they're not getting, because no one cares to check, because they can get paid less. I mean, they're not taking like your job or anything because you're above an entry level job.
Yeah, but they're taking the jobs that are basically entry level.
They are, and that's part of why we're why we dropped 800,000 jobs on our new jobs created. Part of it is that companies can't create more jobs because they just don't have the money to. If you look around, we were just talking about your appliance situation, and for you, it's great because people don't have money.
Hmm.
If you're listening to this and you've been like you've gone on vacation this year and anything else, you're probably scraping through to get through to it's Christmas is coming and all of that, and you're probably starting to save dollars and cents so that by the time Christmas comes you have the money to go. You have the money to buy the Christmas presents and stuff like that. Because honestly, things are a ton more expensive. They're saying almost $1,000 more or a month is your expenses. And obviously, people don't get $12,000 a year raises.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're getting a better job. And then we wonder why, again, a person or millennials are leveraging jobs 2 and 3 years into being at that job and not staying at their job for 10 years or 15 years. Because companies, on average, when they hire from within, pay less money to the person that they know than they will to somebody coming from outside. And I understand part of it is that they're going to develop that talent. Maybe you haven't developed that leadership skill. They're going to have to develop that. They're not going to pay you to develop you. Where somebody that comes in, they don't have to pay to develop that person. That person should be at the level, blah blah blah. That's part of the psychology of it. But yeah.
Well, either way it goes, whether you vote for Trump or Harris, somebody not gonna be happy. Somebody not
Right.
gonna be satisfied.
And in the end of things, in the next 4 years, the only thing you're going to see is, like we said, things are going to get more expensive. Things are going to get cheaper. One or the other. And most of the time, it's not going to get cheaper. It's just going to be the fact that it got less expensive quicker, if you understand.
Mm-hmm.
Like it got more expensive less quick. So
Mm-hmm.
inflation didn't go up as high. At this point, I don't think the Democrats have any want or a plan to lower the inflation. Even their Inflation Reduction Act was not to lower inflation. Like it was canceling school debt and all of these other things that will help raise inflation, that makes money worth less. And I mean, all for it or not, if honestly, if they come through with the education, stuff cancellation, I'll take it. But at the same point, it's not that great for the country, honestly. Even though they're probably going to do it somehow. I've already seen a couple of mine, but mine were more of the fact that that they were part of predatory lending, and so it was class action lawsuit type deal instead of the actual Biden school
Forgiveness.
cancel. Yeah, forgiveness. So,
Yeah.
but
I ain't seen mine's hit, but I show Lord let them call out me. Okay. Don't let them skip over me.
yeah, no, I just saw one
Would
like this
gladly take
last
it.
week because both schools I went to got hit by the predatory lending deal, and so I should be in that class action lawsuit stuff. So I probably get most of my, even though I've paid most of my education off. So it's whatever.
Must be nice.
But you know, the extra 5 or 6,000 I've got left is at least maybe going. So that was a lot longer than I thought you were going to go on this. Like, you had some things to say. Like, Lady D is talking it up.
I know just a little bit, a little something.
Yeah. I mean, and we all have an opinion. That's where, like, that's where I tell people, I'm like, get in and get educated so that your opinion, you own your opinion, instead of, like, not, oh, well, I obviously I'm wrong on this and blah, blah, blah. I mean, be flexible that if someone says something that seems intelligent, that you can adapt that to your opinion. But at the same
Yeah.
time, own the knowledge you have, because you've been educated in it. So we've talked about this a little bit in private, when, in whatever, passings and stuff.
Mhm.
This Keon Henderson, he's a pastor of Lighthouse Church. They have
Mhm.
about 20,000 members. And I like how this Atlanta Black Star says, another scam artist, Shawnee's husband, Pastor Keon Henderson. Like, Shawnee is all of a sudden more popular, or is more well known than Keon Henderson. Called out
Mhm.
for shady business after asking members to donate 21,000 each.
Mhm.
So they can't even get their headline right, because he didn't ask for 21,000. He asked for 2,100 each, of 2,100 people. And really, to me, well, let's get your start on this. So and I had to look up who Shawnee was. I'm going to be 100% honest. Shawnee O'Neal, which, after seeing her, I realized who she was. Basketball, NBA wives and stuff like that. She's built her own empire on herself. Keon Henderson has said that she's got $1 billion in that, made $1 billion on basketball wives and NBA wives. So the question then was, why doesn't she give you the money?
Right.
I mean, because 2,100.
So let's back up. Hold on. Let's back up. So his church is in Houston, Texas. It was affected by
Right.
the hurricane.
Hurricane Beryl.
Yes, the man. Yeah. Yes, the man does. Well, not the man, but yes, the church does have insurance on the building.
Yes.
However, with him being in I assume, multi-million-dollar facility, it will take time for the savings to be transferred to the checking, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he went to his members and made a statement that said, I need, let me make sure I quote it correctly.
So you want to give the quote? Give you the quote?
He needed 2,100 people to contribute $2,100 each within 21 days, aligning what he described as a divine vision.
So his quote is, God gave me a vision and he said, we can do it in 21 days. I'm
Mm-hmm.
asking 2,100 people to give $2,100 in 21 days.
Mm-hmm.
And they sent that message out. But with that, it's not, and here's the part that everybody is like, well, he's got insurance, right?
Right.
But it's not to circumvent the insurance. It's basically the fact that he feels like he's turning people away at his churches, at the campuses. He's got 20,000 people, but more people want to show up, and he can't fit any more people in that church. So this $4 million is to double the size of his church buildings. It's not to say that the insurance money isn't, oh, we're gonna get it done before the insurance money comes in or anything. It's the fact that he wants to double the size of his church. Because he says that God told him that his faith wasn't big enough,
Mm-hmm.
that he was
Mm-hmm.
holding God back, and that he needs to branch out and build a bigger church. Because
Mm-hmm.
all 4 of his campuses were affected by the hurricane.
Okay.
So,
Now, the problem with this is he came back after the local news posted about how he asked his congregation for 2,100 from 2,100 people.
right.
The local news made an article and said Pastor Keon Henderson asked congregation for $4 million or $4.4 million.
Right.
And then he went back and said, I understand in this economy that everybody does not have $2,100 just waiting to be spent, basically. And
Right.
so what I meant to say was I need 21 people. I needed 21 people to donate $21. I'm sorry, I needed basically 2,100 people to donate $21.
Which doesn't get you anywhere.
So, which is only 44,000?
Right.
So, here's the thing. We know the God we serve is not a God of confusion or
Right.
mistake.
Right.
Okay? That's first and foremost. If God gave him the vision, and if it is God's church, because I'm very specific and particular about the words that he used. Okay?
Right.
If it's God's church and God gave him the vision,
Right.
why would he come back 24 hours later and say, no, I made a mistake after the media shined a light on that he asked his congregation for $4.4 million?
And that's what's great about the media is they're going to make it look like, I mean, if you've got 20,000 members and you ask your top 10% to give an extra over the top amount, he's probably got at least 2,100 people who are millionaires or better in his church. He's got 20,000
For
members.
sure. Yeah.
So, $2,100 for someone who is multimillionaire status is nothing. That's probably tithe for a month. I mean, think about it. If you're making 20,000 a month, then you're making about 250,000 a year. So you're not even a millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
That's your tithe.
Well, I guess, and also another controversy was he's married to a woman who is a millionaire. Okay.
Right.
And for
Right.
those who don't know, Shawnee O'Neal, who's now last name should be Henderson. She was Shaquille O'Neal's first wife. She has a
Yep.
couple different. Her main stardom of fame, not saying this in a negative way, aside from being Shaquille O'Neal's wife, was that she has a couple different TV shows and franchises on MTV. Not MTV. Well, yes, it does play on MTV. What is
VH1.
that? Viacom. Yeah, that owns them or
Is
whatever.
yeah, it's VH1 or whatever now,
VH1, but I know they
yeah,
all sister stations. They show all the
yeah,
same stuff now at this
basically,
point. Anyway, so she got a couple different branches of the TV show that she created called Basketball Wives.
right,
And I think she did that. I think she started that show maybe like 12, 14 years ago, somewhere along that. I could be wrong with the timeline.
right,
But people were saying, basically, you are this man who has all this money. You're married to this woman who we know for a fact was, I believe, she should have been receiving alimony from Shaquille O'Neal. Y'all don't have $4 million sitting in the bank ready to be spent. Why must we, as your church goers, supply you with the $4 million? And
right,
in all actuality, I do believe that that is a fair question to ask in a sense, because specifically, if you are a person who's been tithing
right,
and you know that you have invested, you know what I'm saying? Yes, your tithe is between you and God, but at the end of the day, you know that what you've invested thus far, where is that going? And not to mention, how long has her church has been in commission? So
right,
they feel like, why don't you just go ask your wife?
right.
Why not?
Which they say she's only estimated worth about 35 million.
Uh-huh.
And you normally you think about, if you're invested in things, your liquidity is probably around 10 to 20%. So she may only have, and I say only in as a kind of only as a percentage wise, she may only have about $7 million liquidity, which
Right.
I don't know the lifestyle she lives or what.
Right. We
Obviously
don't know what her expenses
she's a
are.
pastor's wife, so she should live some sort of a conservative lifestyle, I guess. And then his net
Probably
worth is
luxury.
about eight.
She was
What's
the NBA wife before now.
right? Well, and I know that, but at the same time, um, if you are a pastor's wife, there is. I mean, it does seem like there should be some kind of you know some kind of job or responsibility to that kind of lifestyle. Now
Mm-hmm.
he's set to be he's estimated net worth of about $8 million.
Mm-hmm.
And again, a lot of that is probably built into the value of the church and things of that nature.
Right.
So liquidity wise, he may not have quite that much or whatever either. So
Right.
I understand net worth and not being able to throw $4 million, but you're right. I mean, if 20,000 people are giving $200 a month, that's $4 million right there. And not everybody's tithing. You're
You're right.
honestly, in the church, most of the time you get about you get your 20% that'll actually tithe.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's probably it's only about 4,000 people are actually tithing. Some then will give $20 here and there, and things like that, and that's like you said, between you and God. But obviously, that they're not just with 20,000 people, and they basically have you know four giant churches in Houston. I mean, they're holding anywhere from 5 to 10,000 people in each of these churches.
Right.
Those aren't small buildings. And so to keep those things going, if they're keeping those things going, I mean, 4 million isn't anything.
You're right. And then also take into account that, you still got people there are people who are on the church staff, so you still got to make payroll.
Right.
And then 9 times out of 10, you don't own the building, so you still at least got to pay the mortgage.
Right.
And then, you still got to pay the utilities for the building, the water, the electric, the HVAC, all of that, gas, whatever
Right.
the case may be. I just find it interesting. And it's just me just being a Christian woman, okay? If God told him this,
That's it.
if
This is it.
if God told him this, why did you go back on what you said when somebody said the
Yep.
headline was the church, they asked for 4.4? The response, in my opinion, should have been, that's right. God did tell me that.
Right.
And watch, just wait and see.
Right. See how good God is. Yeah, that's definitely
Exactly.
the deal is if God said you're either going to stand on the rock or you just stood on some sinking sand and you just backpedaled, and honestly, that's a scary place to be
It
as a
is.
Christian, because you just, you just backpedaled God. You just took all the power out of God's hands. Who are you?
Not to
God put you
mention,
in charge of a 20,000 person church. And this is your testing ground, and you just got tested and you failed.
we in the season where you stand on business. If God said it to you, yeah, stand firm on it and don't
Right. That's it.
waver.
That's
You know
it.
what I'm saying? And then not to mention as well, dang, what was I about to say? I just lost my key point. Oh, the problem that I have with this is I think it was a video that he posted where he said, the church that I want, or something. He was basically saying the church that I should have, or something along
Right.
those lines. I don't like that because it's not your church. It's not your people. It's God's church. It's
Right.
God's people.
Right.
So
At
even
the
that in
same
itself
right.
is a little sketch.
At the same time, I can see showing ownership and putting yourself into it as an owner of a ministry, I live and die with Christ as the head of this church. And I can see you saying it's probably like you said, it's probably more, it's a little bit,
I feel
you
like
probably
I feel like we're being a little lukewarm. You
right.
know,
Right.
just a little bit.
I can see that. Um But my biggest thing though still is if you put it out there, you better have the faith to back it up. Or don't look
Sad.
like or don't make Christianity look like idiots.
Yeah. If God, man, Habakkuk 2:3. If I could run to my car right now and show you what I wrote down on my piece of paper. Habakkuk 2:3. Write the vision and make it plain.
That's it.
Everything
That's
that
it.
I said that I wanted that I would like to have in my house and wanted in my house, with the
Right.
exception of one thing. And you know what that one thing was? And then God reminded me, a fireplace. God said you got a fireplace already. It's in your entertainment center. You don't even barely turn it on. You don't need a fireplace. You know what I'm saying? But
This is something you don't need.
when God give you the vision,
Right.
yeah, it's
Right.
something you don't need. You don't need a fireplace. But when God give you the vision, at the end of the day, it's the vision that God gave you. So if it comes from
That's
God,
right.
you should already know that it's going to be blessed. And not to mention, if it's from God, you're gonna go down a path and a road to get to it. So maybe this is just the first step that he had to endure. Oh,
Right.
that's the word. Maybe this
Right.
is the first step that he had to endure. You got up there and I told you one thing. You went up there and reneged on what I told you to say.
Right.
Why? You
That's,
know?
I mean, it's like Moses hitting the rock with, you couldn't just do it one time. Like I said, you thought you thought you knew better. And you know that this video wasn't like, it's not a spur of the moment video. Like it's not
Yeah.
like he was preaching to his congregation, because right now his congregation can't get in the building.
Right.
Like his buildings are all like the roof is caved in on one,
Yeah, they're
and
condemned.
they're all damaged. Yeah, they're all gone down.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and he's honestly not hurting for space, because he's working with Joel Osteen
Who
to
was his mentor
his
or
mentor,
spiritual, whatever they call him.
to do their like, they're just going to do a camp meeting for a few weeks until money
Right.
starts coming in Joel Osteen's church, which holds like 100,000 people.
Yeah, he got like
But
the biggest church there, right?
yeah, he's the largest mega church in America.
Yeah.
They bought out the old Superdome or something
Yeah.
like that. I think it's Superdome. But yeah, so but the thing is this video is an edited video. Like it's not like he said he may have made it off his phone, but then they took it in and made sure he didn't say something dumb or anything like that.
Right.
Right? They made sure he didn't, they edited and made sure he didn't say something dumb.
Right.
That's right. So when you came back, now you look like an idiot. And now you made, like this thing says, another scammer, another Christian scammer, just trying to get your money. And
Yeah.
I think that's the problem is, God's not mocked. He's not mocked. And that's a tough spot to be in. I hope that this is just a bump in the road for him and he can keep going, but
I pray that he gets his $4.4 million. I really truly do. Matter of fact, I'm gonna donate to his website. We ain't gonna promote him, but because he ain't sponsoring us. But I'll
if
donate
he
to
wants
him
to
to
though,
his website for
$2 a
sure to
month.
help his church out. Huh?
I said if
Huh?
he wants to though, $2 a month, he can get all the premium
Yeah.
content.
Help us out. Okay.
Help us out.
Each one reach one, or teach
If
one.
we could get
What's the saying?
2,100 listeners to donate in $2,100, well, then all of us could
Come
be
on, somebody.
financially set, and we could do this full time. We do this 5 days a week.
Send them, Lord, from your lips
That's
to
right.
God's ears.
That's right. You heard it here first. So, well, what'd you learn tonight?
I learned that our country is in a interesting state, as it always is every 4 years. And at the end of the day, God is still in control of everything.
That's right.
So just stick with Him. You always reach your destination when you walk
Yeah, I mean,
with the Lord.
it's like we've said, when it's your time, and
That's
as long
right.
as you hang on to the hem of the garment, you'll be there.
That's it. If I could just, if I could just touch,
That's right.
touch.
I thought you were going Celine Dion, if I could turn back time, but
Oh, well,
just
just
joking,
touch
just
the
joking.
garment.
That's right.
She
Virtue would
didn't
come
want
to
to
you.
be
Yep,
prayed over. She just wanted to touch. Boy, that's a
that's right.
word. That's a word.
Next on Pastor Destiny, Pastor Lady D's podcast, she's going to
Listen,
preach it to you.
it's ironic that you said that because that's what we've been studying in church. That story.
Yeah.
Switch.
Well,
Shout
and
out to
then
Pastor
and,
John Gray.
and that's we've been studying that whole following the vision, following the dream type thing. Like you said, if you say something, then that's if God says something, you follow that dream. And
Ooh, that's
so
true.
yeah, that's why I said that's the part that just like bugs me the most is you just didn't stand on it when it
Hmm.
came when it came to it's time to solidify this. It's time to put the iron in the fire and make it hard, and you let it just crumble away. You just let your
Yeah,
blessing go. So if you don't get that $4 million, it's on him, not on God. But
that's true.
that's the lesson I learned. Uh, if you can, anyhow, we've been talking about it here and there. $2 a month. Go to the link on our pages, on the podcast, all of those. We have a link that takes you straight to our support page. It gets you premium content on Spreaker.com, which is our hosting site, and that'll get you all of the extra podcasts, all of the premium content, and all of that good stuff. So definitely get in and get some new content, get some old content. And I didn't even look to see if I had any people texting me today, sending in messages. I didn't keep up with the commenters because we were having such a good conversation. So
It's okay. It's all love.
if you didn't get your comment in, I'll check them over the next couple of days. If you don't, why I'm angry podcast at gmail.com. Be part of the podcast. Send in your comments, your requests. If you got a subject that we should talk about, if you have an article that we missed, because obviously we only got to like 2 or 3 this week, send it to us. We'll key in. We'll if it's interesting, we'll it'll be part of the podcast. Sometimes even if it's not interesting, we'll just be like, hey, this dude actually took time to send us an email and take care of you. So thank you guys, and as always,
Remember to follow, like, and share the Why I'm Angry podcast across all social media platforms and anywhere you get your podcast. The Why I'm Angry podcast ends now.